The year 1939 cast a long shadow over Europe, a continent still reeling from the devastation of the First World War. The scars of the Great War were still fresh, and the memories of the millions who perished haunted the collective consciousness of nations. The interwar period was marked by economic turmoil, political instability, and a pervasive sense of disillusionment. The Treaty of Versailles, intended to ensure peace, instead sowed the seeds of resentment and instability. The harsh terms imposed on Germany created a fertile ground for anger and a desire for retribution. The economic reparations demanded by the treaty crippled the German economy, leading to hyperinflation and widespread poverty. This environment of despair and hopelessness became a breeding ground for radical ideologies. In Germany, Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party exploited economic hardship and national pride, promising to restore German glory and overturn the perceived injustices of the treaty. Hitler's rhetoric resonated with a populace desperate for change, and his promises of economic revival and national rejuvenation garnered widespread support. The Nazis' rise to power was swift and ruthless, as they dismantled democratic institutions and established a totalitarian regime. Hitler's ambitions, fueled by a toxic ideology of racial superiority and expansionism, plunged the world into another global conflict, World War II. The Nazi regime's aggressive expansionist policies led to the annexation of neighboring territories and the invasion of Poland in 1939, triggering the outbreak of war. The world watched in horror as the Nazi war machine unleashed its fury across Europe. This Second World War was a clash of ideologies and empires, a fight for freedom against tyranny, a struggle for survival that touched every corner of the globe. Nations were drawn into the conflict, forming alliances and mobilizing their populations for total war. The Axis powers, led by Germany, Italy and Japan, sought to dominate the world, while the Allies, including the United States, the Soviet Union and the United Kingdom, fought to preserve liberty and justice. From the beaches of Normandy to the jungles of the Pacific, millions fought and died in a conflict that reshaped the geopolitical landscape and left an indelible mark on human history. The war saw unprecedented levels of destruction and loss of life, with entire cities reduced to rubble and millions of civilians caught in the crossfire. The bravery and sacrifice of soldiers on all fronts were matched by the resilience and determination of those on the home front. This war was a testament to the destructive power of unchecked ambition, but also to the unwavering courage and resilience of the human spirit in the face of adversity. Stories of heroism and solidarity emerged from the darkest days as people came together to support one another and fight for a better future. The war also highlighted the importance of international cooperation and the need to address the root causes of conflict to prevent future wars. The Second World War was a global conflict of unprecedented scale and brutality, leaving a legacy that continues to shape the world today. The aftermath of the war saw the establishment of the United Nations and the beginning of a new era of international diplomacy aimed at maintaining peace and security. The war also led to significant social and political changes, including the decolonization of many countries and the emergence of the United States and the Soviet Union as superpowers. Understanding its causes, events and consequences is essential to comprehending the complexities of the 20th century and the fragile nature of peace in a world grappling with the enduring legacies of conflict. The lessons learned from World War II continue to inform our approach to international relations and conflict resolution, reminding us of the importance of vigilance, empathy, and cooperation in building a more peaceful and just world. On September 1st, 1939, the German war machine, fueled by Hitler's expansionist ambitions, unleashed its fury upon Poland. The invasion of Poland, a sovereign nation, marked the beginning of World War II in Europe. Hitler's blitzkrieg, a lightning-fast military tactic combining air power, tanks and infantry, swiftly overwhelmed the Polish defences, demonstrating the devastating effectiveness of Germany's modernized military. Britain and France, bound by treaties to defend Poland's independence, declared war on Germany on September 3, 1939. However, their initial response was hesitant and ultimately ineffective in halting the German advance. The Phoney War, a period of relative inactivity on the Western Front, followed as both sides engaged in a tense standoff. The invasion of Poland exposed the tragic consequences of appeasement, a policy pursued by Britain and France in the hope of avoiding war. Hitler, emboldened by the lack of decisive action against his earlier aggressions, had miscalculated the resolve of the Allied powers. The invasion of Poland shattered the illusion of peace and plunged Europe into a devastating conflict. After the swift conquest of Poland, the world watched in shock and awe as the German military demonstrated its formidable blitzkrieg tactics. This lightning war strategy, characterized by rapid and overwhelming force, left Poland in ruins and set the stage for further aggression. Hitler, emboldened by the success in Poland, turned his attention westward, aiming to neutralize France and Britain. His ambition was clear: to dominate Western Europe and eliminate any threats to his burgeoning empire. In the spring of 1940, the German army launched a surprise attack through the Ardennes forest, a region thought to be impassable by large military forces. This bold maneuver allowed them to bypass the heavily fortified Maginot Line, a series of defences that the French had relied upon for protection. The Allied forces were caught completely off guard by this unexpected route. The blitzkrieg strategy once again proved devastatingly effective. German tanks and aircraft rapidly advanced through Belgium and into France, creating chaos and confusion among the Allied ranks. The speed and coordination of the German forces were unmatched, leaving the Allies struggling to mount an effective defence. The speed and ferocity of the German offensive overwhelmed the Allied defences. The Allies, unprepared for the scale and intensity of the attack, found themselves in a dire situation. Their lines were broken and their troops were forced to retreat under heavy fire. British and French forces, ill-prepared for the scale and mobility of the German attack, were forced into a desperate retreat towards the English Channel. The scenes of chaos and desperation were a stark contrast to the confident advance of the German troops. Makeshift bridges and hastily organised defences were all that stood between the retreating soldiers and total annihilation. The evacuation of Dunkirk, a heroic effort to rescue trapped British and Allied soldiers from the beaches of France, became a symbol of both British resilience and the dire situation facing the Allied cause. Over 300,000 soldiers were evacuated under constant threat from German forces, a testament to the bravery and determination of those involved. The fall of France in June 1940 sent shockwaves through the Allied nations. The once mighty French military had been defeated in a matter of weeks, and the country was now under German occupation. The sight of Nazi flags being raised in France was a grim reminder of the new reality facing the Allies. France, once considered a major European power, was occupied by Germany. The French government had surrendered, and the country was now under the control of the Nazi regime. The streets of Paris, once bustling with life, were now patrolled by German soldiers, and the French people faced an uncertain future under occupation. This victory left Great Britain to stand alone against the Nazi war machine. With France defeated, Britain faced the daunting prospect of a potential invasion. Prime Minister Winston Churchill rallied the nation, urging them to prepare for the defence of their homeland. The fate of Europe hung in the balance, and the world watched as Britain prepared to face the full might of the German military. With France defeated, the German war machine seemed unstoppable. The swift and brutal blitzkrieg tactics had overwhelmed the French defences, leaving Britain isolated and vulnerable. Britain stood alone against the might of Nazi Germany. Prime Minister Winston Churchill, with his indomitable spirit, rallied the British people with his stirring speeches, preparing them for the struggle ahead. Hitler's Operation Sea Lion, the planned invasion of Britain, was meticulously crafted. The German High Command believed that conquering Britain would be the final step in securing their dominance over Europe. The success of this operation hinged on gaining air superiority over the English Channel and southern England. Without control of the skies, a seaborne invasion would be impossible. The Battle of Britain, a pivotal air campaign, began in July 1940. It was a test of endurance, strategy and sheer willpower, as both sides knew the stakes were incredibly high. This battle would determine the fate of Britain and the course of the war. British civilians glued to their radios listened anxiously to news updates, while military strategists worked tirelessly to devise effective countermeasures. The Luftwaffe, Germany's air force, launched relentless attacks on British airfields, radar stations and cities. Their goal was to cripple the Royal Air Force, RAF, and pave the way for a seaborne invasion. Day after day, the Luftwaffe bombarded British targets, hoping to break the RAF's resistance. The skies over Britain became a fierce battleground, with dogfights and bombing raids a daily occurrence. The RAF, though outnumbered, fought back with incredible tenacity. Pilots scrambled to their planes, often multiple times a day, to defend their homeland from the relentless German onslaught. The threat of invasion loomed large, and British coastal defences were on high alert. The nation braced itself for the possibility of German troops landing on their shores. However, the RAF, bolstered by the bravery and skill of its pilots, many from Commonwealth nations and occupied Europe, fought back with tenacity and determination. These international pilots brought diverse experiences and a shared resolve to defeat the Axis powers. Their contributions were invaluable, and their courage in the face of overwhelming odds inspired the British people and their allies. The skies above England were filled with the roar of engines and the crackle of gunfire as aerial dogfights raged. The RAF's determination to protect their homeland never wavered. The Battle of Britain, fought in the skies above England, was a crucial turning point in the war. It demonstrated that the Luftwaffe could be challenged, and that the Axis powers were not invincible. The British people looking up at the sky found hope in the sight of RAF planes taking off to defend their nation. The resilience and bravery of the pilots became a symbol of defiance. The RAF's heroic defence, aided by innovative technology like radar, played a pivotal role in detecting and intercepting incoming German aircraft. This technological edge proved to be a game-changer in the battle. The RAF inflicted heavy losses on the Luftwaffe, shooting down numerous planes and disrupting their operations. The German Air Force, once seen as invincible, began to falter. As the battle dragged on, Hitler was forced to reconsider his plans. The Luftwaffe's failure to gain air superiority led to the postponement and eventual abandonment of the invasion. Britain's defiance during its finest hour provided a beacon of hope for occupied Europe. Churchill's speeches galvanized the nation, and the British people's resilience during the Blitz showcased their unbreakable spirit. The courage displayed by Britain inspired resistance movements across occupied Europe. It demonstrated that Hitler's forces were not invincible, and that the fight for freedom was far from over. The end of the Battle of Britain marked a significant victory for the Allies. It was a testament to the power of determination, innovation and unity in the face of overwhelming odds.